fueled by information and driven by knowledge. You and I construct knowledge, deconstruct knowledge, and reconstruct knowledge. A knowledge that is rooted in our traditions, in our profound spirituality, and we are propelled by a love for the other, love for the neighbor, and love for the transcendent. And you already have heard from others about NEP. And I was given this particular area to look at. The career opening for faculty and students in higher education in the light of NEP 2020. Now, what do we look at it? How do we look at career? Before looking at the career, I would like to ask myself, why NEP? And what are the prominent aspects or dimensions of this NEP? And why NEP at this critical juncture of our country? And NEP is definitely rooted on these 5 pillars, which others have already spoken to. Now the whole question is, why NEP again at this moment of our history? And how are we going to respond to this NEP? One possibility is responding like a drop of water in the ocean, which doesn't make any significant difference. Or some of us go around getting tensed about NEP. Or some of us are still thinking, hey, I have been a teacher for 30 years, 20 years, why should I change? And we are pulled back by our understanding of education. And there are some of us who would make this cosmetic change, a mere cosmetic change in our educational perspective. Or we can go all out and create a difference in the life of our students and the others. I think what is most important here is this. This is the way we were trained. From right from the childhood, our parents taught us how to behave, how to interact with others. And our parents were very much part and parcel. Not only our parents, our neighbors, and probably even our own grandparents. They choreographed us. And they made us to believe that we have to be something like this. But today's generation don't want that. They want to choreograph themselves. And they want to become self-driven learners. You and I studied by heart, gave examination, and conveniently forgot what we studied. Today's generation want to learn what they are interested to learn. We adhere to the system, but today's generation is not willing to adhere to what the system wants them to learn. So the system has 2 choices. One, it can fall in line, or the system can revisit itself and realign itself and cater to the need of the student or aspirations of the student. And that is what, in a way, NEP is doing at this moment of history. And this is the way we rewarded our students, what we call carrot. They got grades for whatever they did, and we encouraged them. And we conducted an examination or evaluation of this type, looking at the head of the child and said, what have you learned in maths? What have you learned in history? What have you learned in various subjects? But I think that type of assessment is gone. Earlier, it was assessment for learning. Then it was assessment of learning. Now with NEP, it would be assessment as learning. So as a teacher, you can walk around something like this, with a sad face. Or, like some of us, from morning till evening, we go on shouting at the child, keep quiet, do this, don't do this. We can be mad all the time and try to speak against the system and say, we don't have resources, this is not the way to do. And we do have teachers who are very shy, not confident. For my postdoctoral work, I had interviewed over 2,000 teachers. And one of the questions that I asked them was, how many books have you read in the last academic year? Almost 98% of our teachers have not read a single book outside the syllabus. And we are not confident of what is happening. So maybe we need a paradigm shift. As NEP talks about joyful learning, that means we need to celebrate as a teacher. We should celebrate our call to be a teacher, engendering knowledge, engendering a better future. That requires us to learn and requires us to unlearn and relearn and become a self-directed learner. And that's only possible when we are able to tighten the nuts left and right. That's only possible when we are able to remove the obstacle from our own eyes and look beyond and see what is there and what's available in the 21st century. And I think that is where the whole dimension of NEP as a game changer or as changing the course. Again, why NEP at this moment? Earlier, knowledge was institutionalized. When I began my doctorate at Boston College, I would go to the library and pick up about 100 books at a time. But towards the end of my doctoral work, I never went to the library. The library came to me. So in 21st century, the knowledge has been de-institutionalized. You can access information anytime, anywhere, provided you have the right technology. And the second dimension of knowledge is dynamic. Earlier, knowledge was static. What is knowledge yesterday need not be knowledge today. So the whole idea of knowledge has changed. And again, knowledge has become interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary. And there is a paradigm shift. And finally, the authority of knowledge was external earlier. Today, I decide what is knowledge for me. I do not depend on someone else for knowledge. And again, when you ask us why NEP, definitely one reason is we have the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal 4, asking every nation to revamp its education. So we definitely have to revamp it. Another reason is, this is where our jobs were available so far. Probably pre-COVID, our jobs are available in extraction, manufacturing, assembling, marketing, and distribution. But in the current scenario, our employment is available in these areas. So automatically, the courses has to be redesigned to adhere to answer the time of today. There's a wonderful saying by Richard Rayleigh who said, "We do not know how the world would look like. We have no idea what are the problems that are going to be there. So we need to prepare our students for an uncertain future. We need to prepare them with skills that are needed to enter into an ever-changing global economy. And as you well know, across the globe, we are going through a recession. We are going through an economic crisis. There is inflation. and joblessness is more and more increasing. That's why UNESCO had come out with a whole dimension of the 10 skills, the life skills that are needed. And I'm sure some of you, I know CSC had already introduced the life skill education in their schools. But my challenge is, how is this being taught in the classroom? And again, when you look at NEP, these are the next 10 skills that are needed for a 21st century employee or a person or an entrepreneur. Complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordination or network, and again, dealing with emotions, capacity to negotiate with the others, making right decisions based on what I call a computational thinking. Computational thinking is the capacity to access information, analyze information, construct knowledge, and create multiple solutions and choose the best solution. And that is where the whole idea of cognitive flexibility comes in. And again, we are coming back to the basic of education. Why education? For a better world, for a better society, for a better humanity. But today our students are engaged in this direction. But I think what we require is to move forward, because this is the way our education so far. This is a factory. Some will get A+, others will get B+, and some will fail, depending on what is put on the head. But I think what we require today is exactly this: motivation, teamwork, passion, and creating a synergy. A synergy that will ensure a better future for our children. A synergy that will ensure that we love the environment and we live the world better than we came in. And I think that becomes very important. That is where the whole idea of assessment comes to. And again, that requires a different teaching learning style. Our teaching style has to incorporate these 3 dimensions: imagination, interaction, and immersion. That means today, teaching is a fusion of content knowledge, technological knowledge, and pedagogical knowledge. And if this fusion doesn't take place, the children are not going to listen to us. Because today's world is grappling with 3 different distinct challenges and opportunities: globalization, flexibilization, and polarization. Last 2 weeks, there are a number of them who lost their job, who are very high-paying people, but their jobs were lost overnight. So therefore, we are on a crossroad. It is our choice. That means our education should be able to fill these 2 dimensions, the heart and the head, fusing in the cognitive dimension with the emotional or the reaching out to the other. So I would call today's education need to look into these 5 dimensions as a teacher. The social dimension, because India as a nation, we are a people who are well related to each other. We like to connect with each other, and therefore that polarization should reduce, and we need to be able to say we are one human family. As Pope Francis calls it, the new humanism. Then again, the emotional dimension. Post-COVID, you would have encountered your children who are having a tremendous amount of problems and challenges, and emotions are not taken into consideration. Then you have what you call the cognitive dimension, which we have already spoken to, and the behavioral dimension. But I would add one more dimension as the spiritual dimension. The meaning, the purpose. Why am I here on earth? Because education is a dual journey. An external journey, conquering the world, understanding the world, gaining knowledge. It is also an inward journey. Asking oneself, who am I? What am I? And what contribution do I want to make to the world? So, and that's what we would like to reflect upon today. And every person has been talking about this. So, I would wind up at this moment. I thank all the organizers for inviting me to be here with you this morning. And God bless. Have a wonderful time ahead.